Okay, the tripods. Go check the charge of the microphones. Check the documents, last look. Syrian passport.
How many countries can you visit with your Syrian passport, visa-free? So many?
You ask too much.
Nächster Halt, Hauptbahnhof. Regionalverkehr
So we made it to Girona. Now we're taking bus straight to Barcelona. Let's go.
So, we are in Spain. What do you want to eat?
KFC.
In Spain! I will eat tapas.
We finally made it.
Yes.
Okay, so you know that we have met before. We met in Ukraine, 2019. You were my tutor, and 2 years ago here in Barcelona as well.
Yes.
But for the podcast, I'll pretend it's our first meeting.
Okay.
Just don't
Okay,
tell
that's fine,
don't
that's
tell
fine.
don't tell anyone. Okay, so can you please just tell us about your background, how you started, and how did you end up teaching?
Okay, so I started teaching in Brazil. I started teaching very, very early when I was about 17 or 18 years old, because in Brazil you don't really need a qualification to teach at a language center. So if your English is sufficiently good, that means about B2, maybe B2 plus, you can land a job as a teacher at a small academy in Brazil. Yeah, this is back in the day, right? That's many, many years ago. And I really enjoyed teaching, and I decided to study languages when I went to college. I studied languages, then I did my own CELTA while I was in college. And from there, I've just started developing as a teacher. I taught at many different academies, taught in many different contexts, teaching adults, teenagers, young children, and I decided to become a teacher trainer. That is after I finished my CELTA in, I think, 2017. And I became a CELTA tutor. Everything happened very fast and very organically, so I didn't really plan. But it's all I've done in my life. All I've done so far, basically, is either teach English or work as a teacher trainer.
I know how you feel. I just apologize for the noise, but this is, the most quiet spot in Barcelona.
Yes.
And yet it's still noisy, so I'm sorry for that. You said today there's some kind of carnival or party.
There's a pride parade tomorrow, so it's the Pride weekend. The people are celebrating. There's concerts and everything.
Okay, so sorry for that. So just enjoy the atmosphere. Okay, so back to your teaching. You said that you were in Brazil. How did you end up in Barcelona?
I decided to move because, there were some personal reasons involved in moving to Europe, and also I wanted to experiment working in different countries with a different context, because I had been teaching for 15 years when I decided to move, and I had only taught Brazilian learners and I had only trained Brazilian teachers, and I thought it was time to try something different, and I had the opportunity to come here, and I just took it, and here I am. 7 years later, I'm still here, working and training here in Barcelona.
Have you noticed any differences, not in the qualifications, but in teaching methods between Brazil and Barcelona?
You mean like the classroom practice, methodology?
In general.
That's an interesting question, because maybe in my bubble in Brazil, because I used to work at a very large language center, a very renowned, we were very blessed and very privileged in terms of the training that we did there, and we mainly used communicative approaches, and we had a lot of investment in training. So we had the best trainers, we had workshops, and it was a very, very good time for English language teaching in Brazil when I decided to leave. So the community of Brazilian teachers was thriving when I left, which is great, because it allowed me to be in touch with many different methodologies, many different beliefs in teaching. When I moved here, I didn't notice a huge difference in the approach that the teachers had, but more adapting to the type of context and the type of need of the student. Because in Brazil, you teach lots of adults that desperately need to learn English, like today, now, because their promotion depends on it, getting a job depends on it. Here, at least in my experience, that is somehow limited. It's more about getting an accreditation, proving a certain level of English, doing a Cambridge exam, and I've taught younger people here more than in Brazil. So young adults or university-aged students more than in Brazil.
From my experience, I noticed that there's two kinds of, let's say, students. Some students, they want to study English and move step by step. So they start with low level and then they proceed until they reach, let's say, C1. Of course, that takes several years. But what I noticed in let's say, in Central or West Europe, that people want to have something fast, something intensive. It doesn't matter, methodology doesn't matter. What matters is that by the end of the course, they get some kind of certificate. Here in Barcelona, have you felt this difference, or people care more about the quality than the quantity?
I think the sense of emergency is everywhere, Ellie. I noticed that, especially after COVID, that people want to achieve a goal or reach something very, very quickly. And I think a proof of that is how the number of apps that have emerged because people learned that they could learn online, which is something that in the past already existed, but not as much. I think the online teaching and learning gives a false idea that it's faster and easier because you can do it from the comfort of your house. And because of that, a lot of apps emerged. You have teaching apps, you have things like Duolingo having a language test now, and they do give the impression that a level can be reached more quickly. Can it? Maybe. I think we still need to wait and see. But I think this is kind of everywhere in the world. It's everywhere. People want to achieve a goal quickly.
Now you teach in University of Barcelona and any other place?
Yes, I teach English and Portuguese at Escola de Idiomas Modernos, which is the language center of the University of Barcelona. And I work as a teacher trainer with the Deep TESOL and CELTA, the Cambridge CELTA, at Oxford TEFL, which is a training center here in Barcelona as well.
Based on your previous experience, I know that most teachers, like myself, and I think you, not all, but most are freelancers. Of course, the laws differ from one country to another, and because of that, freelance teachers always have problems. So without getting deeper into the names and stuff like that, no need to name any organization or any school, but can you tell us some problems or difficulties that freelance teachers, I'm not talking about school teachers or freelance teachers, may face in Barcelona, maybe in Spain? I don't know about your experience, but at least here.
Okay, I think this is a very good question because it's a situation that many people find themselves, and it's difficult to navigate because when you are a freelancer here in Spain, you have to be an autónomo. Yeah, so that's a condition that you need in order to work as a freelancer. So I cannot be, if I am giving a service to a school, I need to have like a company or be autónoma, which means to pay a fee every month. And this fee in the first year is a certain amount that's kind of friendly. Then the second year is a little bit higher. The third year is very high, which means that
So who pays the fee? You or
the teacher. The teacher
pays for the school?
No, pays to the government. Yeah?
As taxes?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
This tax is quite high, and the teacher needs to teach a lot of hours for this to work. So ideally, here a teacher should have a contract, so they wouldn't have to worry about the autonomous tax to pay to the government. Yeah, I think a challenge that these freelancers face is the instability because they don't know how many hours they'll have in a month or a term or a semester or a year. It is really fleeting and it's difficult for them to plan ahead, knowing that they need to have this autonomo, their own autonomo organized and paid every month, regardless of how much money they're making. So they need to pay this tax every month, and it's just difficult for a teacher to know how to navigate these things. I think another issue that freelancers have is that they do lack a community of teachers to interact with. If you're a freelancer, you don't have a staff room to go to or colleagues to interact with on a daily basis. Also, you work for yourself and by yourself, and you don't have a school or an academy encouraging you to improve or encouraging you to develop professionally, maybe even helping financially, sending you to training courses. And this does affect your work, and also it affects you emotionally because you're alone planning and then teaching and then marking, and it does feel a bit lonely sometimes when you're a freelancer.
So you enter the office with a sticker, forever alone.
Yeah, forever alone.
And home alone.
Yes.
Actually, that's what we try. What we are trying to, let's say, reduce the effects of being alone in Malta with our work sessions and seminars. Okay. How do you see yourself after some year? Do you think you'll keep doing what you're doing, or you think maybe you're already thinking of choosing another path, or you think you're stuck to it, like me?
You know, like I've been questioning that a lot recently because obviously I think everybody's been questioning their professional path after the rise of AI and all these language models. And I'm teaching a lot at the moment, and I've noticed that the students want teachers, even when they're using artificial intelligence, even when they realize that that can be somehow a tool for them to study. It's not going to replace a teacher. However, the teacher needs to be smart in thinking how and if they're going to use that in their teaching, how they're going to help the students use that better and effectively. Obviously, also thinking about the ethical concerns of using artificial intelligence. So I feel like, because like I said to you, I've been teaching for a long time and it's all I know to do, but I think that this is a big moment for teachers to think about how they want to live their career after all the AI. I think it's one of the biggest breaking points, but it's one of the biggest events that happened to the teachers, and we're still to see how they're going to affect our careers in the future. So just to go back to your question, I don't know, but I think it will have to do with helping students use whatever is available to them, and also as a teacher trainer, helping the teachers navigate all these new tools and these new possibilities that they are having with the advent of AI.
Let's say in the English world, I don't know about other worlds because I don't know about English. There is this term of native speakers. So I'd like to ask, did you teach also Spanish or Portuguese or here in
the students?
Yeah.
They are mostly Catalan from here, Spanish, Catalan, and or South American who live here.
Okay, so my question has two branches, let's say. First was about English, second about Spanish for people, maybe for people who are not Spanish who come here to study. Is there some kind of native speakerism, let's say, phenomenon here? For example, schools, they prefer, I'm not sure about governmental schools, let's say course, private school. Do they prefer native speakers, or they care mostly about the qualifications and experience? And that goes to both English and Spanish or Catalan for foreigners who come here.
Mm-hmm. I have a very strong opinion on this, especially being a non-native speaker who really worked hard to get my English to the level that it is today. I think that it has improved a lot in the last 10, 15 years. Personally, I've never felt prejudiced against for not being a native speaker, and I work in contexts where I need to have a very, very, very good level of English because I'm training other teachers to be teachers, and because I am a non-native speaker, this is under scrutiny because I'm teaching teachers how to tackle grammar. They ask me grammar questions, and I need to be very language aware to do my job well. And I think that by doing that and by showing the teachers that I train who are not also non-native speakers many times that this is possible, this is the way I fight any native speakerism that still remains here. About academies, they cannot advertise that they hire or they're looking for a native speaker. However, if you go on Instagram and you see sponsored ads from academies, many times you see as part of the advantages, so come study with us.
Just gave the law.
Native speakers, oof. But because it's the way that they advertise their courses by saying or implying that a native speaker is better. So unfortunately, we still see that quite a lot. Now, the good and bright side of that is that from my experience with my own students and the teachers that I teach who teach their own students, the students themselves, they don't care if you're a native speaker or not, as long as your lesson is useful, fun, and that they're learning. That if they know, they feel that they're learning, they really don't care if you're a native speaker or not. That's my experience here in Spain, and all the teachers that I train, I tell them the same, because they ask me, "Oh, I'm a non-native speaker. Is it going to be more difficult?" And I think my job is to say, "No, it's not going to be more difficult, because you will show how good you are by the level of your English, your qualifications, and this is my mission, to help the teachers have this boost of confidence and never question if they are more or less qualified than a native speaker."
Okay, so let's go back to 2019. In our last meeting, you said that, by the way, she was my tutor with CELTA 2019.
Yes.
She did something very bad with me.
Did I?
Yeah. One lesson was on the, but she's kind of people whom you can only love, you cannot hate. Whatever they do to you,
Thank
you
you.
can only love them. Okay. You told me in our last meeting in Barcelona 2 years ago that you were not expecting it, that you're not prepared. Second, tutor, she called you unexpectedly. You told me
To be
Yeah.
invited to go to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, tell us the story.
okay, I'll tell you the story. It's a funny story. So I moved
But
to.
of course, without mentioning the name, you can mention the first
Yeah.
names of people, but without the names of schools or
Yeah, it's fine.
institutes. Yeah.
I moved to Barcelona in May 2019, and I went to a conference. And then I had no job. I just moved with a suitcase, and I thought I have to go to these conferences to meet people. And I was at the conference, and I was telling everybody, "Oh, I just moved. I'm a CELTA trainer. Hi, if you hear anything." And then I met my friend Anna. She's still my friend. She said, there's a Ukrainian lady carrying a Cambridge bag saying that she needs a tutor for her next course. I said, "Okay, who is this?" So I started looking at her. Who's the Ukrainian lady with a Cambridge bag? And then I found the co-tutor of that course. I said, "Hi, are you looking for a tutor?" And she said, "Yes, I'm looking for a tutor to come to Ukraine in June to work for a course in Odessa." And I thought, "Yeah, let's do it." Then we had a meeting. She interviewed me. We spoke about my experience, and I went to Odessa in June 2019. And when the course was about to finish, she said, "Could you please stay a month more because we need another tutor for a course in Kyiv?" And I said, "Yeah, I've got nothing here. I can stay for as long as you want." So I went from Odessa to Kyiv. It had not been planned before. It was a spur of the moment decision, and then I ended up staying 2 months in Ukraine, 1 month in Odessa, 1 month in Kyiv, doing 2 back-to-back CELTA courses.
Which course did you enjoy more? Don't worry, I'm not from. I live in Odessa.
That puts me in a. I'm gonna say I enjoyed the Odessa course more, for 3 reasons. I think number 1, it was my first course abroad, out of Brazil, teaching teachers from different a country that I had never been before. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, it was a smaller course, so it was nicer to get to know everybody. And we were you remember, right? We were like a small family. I remember Irina had her birthday, and we had a birthday party. We did a picnic at a park. So it was a very nice atmosphere. And the third thing is that Odessa is really beautiful. It's really, really, for me, I never imagined in my life that I would go to Ukraine, let alone for work. The third reason is that Odessa is really, really beautiful. And I remember that one day there was a film festival going on in August when I was there, and I went to the Potemkin stairs, and there was a screen at the bottom of the stairs.
The one to the hub. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we would sit on the stairs and watch the film on this big screen, and there was a Ukrainian orchestra playing along with the film. The film was a black and white film called The Cossacks, and it was mute, black and white. And for the hour and a half that they showed the film, there was an orchestra doing the live soundtrack. And it was just really amazing. It was the most amazing experience, and it made the course even more special than it was.
Of course, we all live these moments, but before the war, when almost every news channel was talking about this, did you really believe that there would be a war, or you thought, away from emotions, of course, I don't think there's a normal person who would wish war. But if you use our brains, not hearts, did you really believe that there could be war, or it was just propaganda or news?
I believe there could be, absolutely, because even when I was there, Ukraine was already a country at war, a smaller war because of the invasion of Crimea, the annexation. So there is already tension. And then before the full invasion of Russia, for me, I remember I was in Brazil when the news started popping, and my mother asked, she said, "Do you think he's gonna go all in?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so, because the guy has no limits. He just doesn't respect anything." And I thought that it was very possible that it was going to happen, and it did happen. Yeah, and it's horrific because many people had to leave, and it is still ongoing. It seems like it's dragging on for too long, unfortunately. But yeah, I definitely thought that it was possible that it was going to happen. I mean, on the verge of it happening, right? But when it was absolutely on the verge, I think it's going to be a big problem, and unfortunately, it still is.
But you were not surprised when it really happened?
Surprised in the sense that it caught me. No, I don't think so. I mean, it's very upsetting. But,
of course.
Yeah,
of
but
course.
I never doubted that Russia could do it. And I think that's a better way to put it.
I wasn't surprised. I was just waiting. The question for me wasn't if.
It was when.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That was. You can only hope that just wish soon everything will finish and we have more CELTA in Ukraine.
Yes.
Okay. The last question. Any advice for people who are in Barcelona? They want to take up teaching. Do's and don'ts in brief, of course.
Okay, I think for people who aim to come to Spain to teach, the first thing that they have to think about is there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition because everybody wants to live in Spain. It's a nice country. There is demand for English classes, so it is a hub for teachers. In that scenario, you have to be prepared. So you have to seek a qualification, a CELTA, CERTISO. If you already have teaching experience, then maybe pursue a higher qualification like a Deep TESO or the Delta. I think a very, very important thing for teachers here is to not obsess over getting one job, because unfortunately you have to put your eggs in many different baskets, so you can ideally you should be putting your egg in many different baskets, so teach at different academies, be able to teach young learners, because that's a huge market here, adults, exam preparation, IELTS. Maybe look into other things that are related to teaching, like becoming a speaking examiner, an IELTS speaking examiner, a Cambridge speaking examiner. 2 years ago, I would advise teachers to also be able to create more materials and sell this ability to publishers, but I think writing is not the most thriving industry at the moment, so I wouldn't advise venturing onto that industry. But I think the most important thing, Ellie, is to be qualified, to get a CELTA, a Delta. If you're not born speaking English, get a certification to prove your level. And that's it. That's how you equip yourself.
Is CELTA important nowadays?
Yes, yes. It is, and it will always be.
Okay. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Thank you.
So, dear viewers, thank you, and sorry again for the noise. As I said, this is Andrea said, not me. This is the most quiet place in
Yes.
Barcelona today. So, sorry. I hope you enjoyed. Forget the background noise. I try my best to reduce it. So, again, you're going to watch this episode of this podcast on Teachers Lounge and not a podcast in two versions, the video and the audio version. Also, enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the scenery of some places in Barcelona. So thank you very much, and see you again later with another guest, hopefully with more quiet environment. Goodbye. Bye.
Thank you.